Because my husband mentioned wanting to see a fire escape, I was ruthlessly pushed into the fire scene. When I crawled out of the fire, I saw Christopher enjoying a romantic candlelit dinner with his lover. She said she was afraid of the color red, while I was forced to strip off my remaining clothes and was thrown naked onto the street. I wanted to resist, but Christopher said it was all because of me that Sophia suffered so much. You've taken her place for so many years. What does it matter if you suffer a bit? Later, I touched my slightly bulging belly, trying to accept this fact, yet Sophia cried in Christopher's arms, claiming that seeing me reminded her of the nightmares from her days as an escort. In a moment of impulse, Christopher threw me into a nightclub, shattering all my confidence and making me experience the pain that Sophia went through. But later, Christopher had someone throw Sophia into a dangerous place, carefully tending to every wound on my body. He wanted me to drink a potion to promote pregnancy. Emily, help me give birth to this child, and I will compensate you well. I nestled in his arms, feeling numb inside, simply nodding silently and unable to focus on the joy on his face. He didn't know that the child he had been longing for had already been lost 3 years ago. Because of the miscarriage, my body has suffered severe damage, and now I only have 3 days left to live. When Christopher arrived, I was kneeling on the ground, holding a cigarette ashtray in my hand. The manager following him smiled obsequiously and said, "Mr. Anderson, don't worry, we have trained her well. There is no woman in this club more obedient than her now." As the manager spoke, he lit a cigarette and then forcefully extinguished the butt on my arm. My arm was covered in scars, and blood instantly flowed out. Seeing that I made no sound, Christopher couldn't help but frown and wanted to come over to help me, but I suddenly recoiled. "Mr. Anderson." At that moment, I looked nothing like the First Lady of New York should. Christopher didn't expect to see such a scene 3 years later. His hand froze in the air and awkwardly withdrew. Since marrying Christopher, my temper has grown bigger under his indulgence. If it were before, even if Christopher teased me, I would glare at him until he admitted his mistake or carried me until I calmed down. Now, Christopher's face looks both happy and sad as he lets out a long sigh. He said, "If you had listened earlier, I wouldn't have had the heart to send you to learn the rules." When the manager sent me out, I was still a bit dazed. 3 years have passed, and I finally escaped that painful place, no longer having to face the humiliating scenes that still send shivers down my spine when I think about them. Christopher noticed I was cold and took off his jacket to drape it over me. I instinctively wanted to kneel down, but he coldly told me to stand. The smell of cigars lingered around me as Christopher bent down to help me adjust my clothes. "As long as you obey and no longer argue with Sophia, I won't let you suffer." Does that mean I won't have to go to that place anymore? A glimmer of hope finally passed through the numbness in my eyes as I got up to follow Christopher into the car. Although the floor in the club is very clean, kneeling for too long still leaves stains, not to mention that my clothes are only washed once every 2 weeks. I curled up in a ball, afraid of dirtying the car, but there were still noticeable stains left on the seat cover. Christopher has always been quite particular about cleanliness. He frowned and made a displeased sound when he saw a stain. I cautiously glanced at Christopher, thinking he might throw me out of the car, but to my surprise, he just turned his head and said nothing. "Emily, it's only been 3 years. How did you end up like this?" Sophia's voice suddenly rang out in the car, which made me realize she was here too. She was dressed in fashionable high-end custom attire, wearing a deep green bracelet on her wrist and a valuable ruby necklace around her neck, looking just like a noble lady. She gently touched the necklace and said with a hint of guilt, "Emily, Christopher saw that I liked this necklace, so he gave it to me. You're not upset, are you? It's just a necklace. It's not a big deal. Besides, these things originally belonged to you." Christopher gently held Sophia's hand, trying to help her relax. "Yes, the necklace, the clothes, even the love of a husband and this marriage all belong to Sophia. And I am just a thief who steals from others, unworthy of these things." I felt quite helpless. But Emily didn't seem very happy. I decided to return the necklace to her after all. Sophia looked aggrieved as she spoke, trying to take off the necklace. "I said I don't need it." Christopher carefully put the necklace back around Sophia's neck, then looked at me with disdain in his eyes. "He really hasn't changed. I thought you would, but it turns out even a necklace can make you jealous. If I had known, I should have let you stay at the club a few more days." No! Those terrifying memories surged back, and I instinctively knelt down, clutching Christopher's clothes. "I don't want that necklace. Please don't send me back. Mr. Anderson, I know Sophia is the lady. I won't steal the necklace. I'm very obedient." Christopher rarely stays silent. Am I not being sincere enough? I bit my nails, my eyes darting around like a patient addicted to poison. I can help clean and even stay in the restroom, but I can actually go out. I won't disturb you here. Just treat me like a stray dog. Please don't send me back. As I said this, I made a dog-like sound towards Christopher. I got a bit mixed up with what I said. I don't know which sentence made Christopher angrier, and his expression darkened. Stop talking, Christopher shouted in a low voice. I looked at Christopher in confusion. In the past, when I barked like a dog, they would let me go happily. Why didn't it work on Christopher this time? Sophia sighed. Christopher, why not just send her back? To deal with me, they actually resorted to such tricks. Christopher didn't object. Instead, he was seriously considering whether this plan was feasible. The events that happened in the club flashed through my mind like flickering lights, being splashed with an unknown liquid, kneeling naked in the snow, and being forced to eat chunks of meat I didn't know what they were. I thought to myself, no matter what, I absolutely cannot go back to the club. I suddenly rushed to the car door, ready to jump out without hesitation. Just as I was about to land, Christopher stopped me. Before I could settle in, I was slapped across the face. Don't get my car dirty, I quickly said. I'm sorry. I just didn't want to make you upset. This is the only method I could think of. Sophia leaned against Christopher's shoulder. Since she wants to get off, let her get down. Christopher, it's only 10 kilometers to the old house. Walking a bit is fine. This is much safer than jumping out of the car. Don't you think, Emily? It's just 10 kilometers, much better than being dragged by the car. I hurriedly nodded, fearing that if I hesitated, I would be sent back. Since you want to get off so much, I certainly can't let you down. The Maybach stopped, and Christopher yanked my hair to drag me out. It was pouring rain. That was when I realized it was raining outside. A flicker of panic crossed my face as the memories I had tried to hide resurfaced, tearing at my heart. When I first came to the club, I was quite stubborn. The manager dragged me out in front of everyone and hit my stomach with a stick. Blood everywhere beneath me. I dared not close my eyes, feeling that in the next moment, I would see the child walk through the rain, looking hurt, asking me why I didn't protect him. Watching Christopher and Sophia prepare to get in the car, I desperately clutched the car door and begged Mr. Anderson, please let me get in. Don't leave me here alone. Sophia crossed her arms and said, Emily, weren't you just wanting to jump out of the car? Now that we're dropping you off, why do you no longer want to leave? Were you pretending the whole time? Filled with guilt and fear for the child, she couldn't hear what Sophia was saying, only nodding mindlessly in the rain. Christopher showed a hint of sarcasm, suddenly kicked me, and the sharp pain brought me back to that day. At that moment, Christopher's face looked like a manager holding a stick. I curled up, holding my stomach, and murmured in a daze, Don't hit me. Don't hit my child. Christopher frowned and asked, What child? Before I could answer, Sophia spoke first. Christopher, she might be pretending to be crazy again. She was just shouting about wanting to jump out of the car, and now she says she has a child. Her tone suddenly became very wronged. She didn't expect Emily to be so cold to me. I should leave to avoid making Emily upset. After saying that, Sophia tried to leave, but Christopher reached out and held her. He looked at me with disgust, thinking that he almost got tricked, and stepped hard on the ground. Stop pretending. I'm giving you 3 hours. 3 hours later, if you're not at the old house, I'll send you back. I'll give you one more chance. I don't want you to have it this easy anymore. The pain brought me back to reality, and when I got up from the ground, the Maybach was already far away. What did I do wrong? Why do they still want to send me away? I tightly gripped the safety lock around my neck, numbly walking forward, the sound of a child's crying echoing in my ears, with a dull pain in my lower abdomen. I don't know how long I walked, but eventually my body couldn't take it anymore and I collapsed on the ground. In the moment I lost consciousness, I heard the piercing sound of a car horn. When I woke up again, the first thing I saw was a pure white ceiling. How did the Anderson family end up like this? No. I didn't go to the Anderson family at all yesterday. I sat up suddenly, pulled out the 4-drip, and got out of bed. I need to hurry to the Anderson family, or they really will send me back. Why didn't you pay attention? What are you running for? I accidentally bumped into a young man. He looked to be in his early 20s and was quite tall. He gently touched his sore nose with his finger and was holding a medical report. The nurse said you haven't fully recovered and should rest well to avoid further issues. If this continues, I won't help you with your treatment anymore. Thank you. I held back for a long time before finally saying this. But, sir, I really have something important to deal with. You can call me Jacob. What could be more urgent than resting and recovering your health? Jacob grabbed my hand, trying to pull me back, but suddenly a force yanked me to the side. Then, I was slapped and fell onto the table, with some blood coming from the corner of my mouth. Christopher stood in front of me, his gaze fierce, looking very angry. You really can't stay away from men. I was worried about you last night, wondering if something would happen to you, and here you are, mingling with someone else. I felt a bit dizzy. I really couldn't take it anymore. Jacob tried to stop him, but was suddenly pushed and hit his head against the wall, taking a while to react. Who on earth is that person? Christopher grabbed my hair and kicked me. I once thought you had changed for the better, but I didn't expect you to still be so excessive. My whole body hurts, I'm shaking badly, and I can't say a word. Christopher angrily grabbed my arm, but when he saw the blood all around me, he panicked and shouted, Emily, where is the doctor? Where is the doctor? I am the doctor. Jacob wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Jacob told the nurse to lift me onto the bed and to stop the bleeding quickly. Christopher is quite strong. That last push made Jacob a bit unsteady too. He was already angry, and now seeing me being rushed into the emergency room, he was even more furious at Christopher. I'm educating my wife. What does it have to do with you? Jacob laughed. Are you talking about your wife? Do you know? She fainted in the middle of the street at night. If I hadn't noticed, something terrible might have happened already. After such a big incident, it's one thing not to care about her, but to actually slap me is unacceptable. You don't act like a boyfriend. You seem more like an enemy. Why didn't you call me? Would I really let you walk back by yourself? Christopher's tone suddenly softened, and I lowered my head in silence. Of course I called, Christopher. I made over a dozen calls to you at the club, begging you to come pick me up, but you still didn't come. Emily, so you were in the hospital yesterday. You really worried us. Both Christopher and I were very anxious. Why did you have to get out of the car? Sophia suddenly appeared, grabbed my hand, and pressed her sharp nails against the back of my hand, the sharp points causing me pain. She thought I would push her away in pain like before, but unexpectedly, I remained as still as a statue. She was taken aback for a moment and then said, If I had known this would happen, I would have preferred to get out of the car myself yesterday and walk home. Christopher's guilt immediately vanished. If it weren't for your issues with Sophia, I wouldn't have let you get out of the car. What happened today was actually caused by you. I hope you can learn from this lesson and not be so unwise in the future. Jacob suddenly laughed. After all the fuss, it turned out to be about an affair, leaving his wife behind. It really opened my eyes. Christopher felt a bit angry, but suddenly laughed, casually fiddling with his cuff. He said, Because you saved Emily, I won't hold it against you. Emily, are you coming with me? Or do you want to go back? Hey, her body hasn't recovered yet. I followed Christopher and heard Jacob calling from behind. Sorry. I felt very sorry, but I really can't go back. As soon as I arrived at the Anderson family, Christopher pushed me down onto the bed. He looked down at me from above. I felt dizzy, with a buzzing in my ears, and it took me a while to muster the strength to ask him, What? Emily, didn't you say you had a child? Just hearing you say it isn't enough. We need to confirm it carefully. Sophia kindly explained, and I then noticed that there were several heavy machines already set up in the room. I didn't expect that Christopher would actually remember something I casually said back then. I smiled bitterly, thinking how could there be no child, then instinctively touched the safety lock around my neck. That child was only in this world for a few months, but I will never forget them for the rest of my life. Wait, where's my safety lock? I started to panic, constantly feeling around my neck. Soon my hands were scratched all over my body, but I felt no pain. That lock contained the only bit of flesh and blood from the child, the only thing they left for me. It must be at the hospital. Just as I wanted to get out of bed and run, Christopher hugged me tightly. Don't run, Emily, we haven't checked yet. Christopher's voice was a bit gloomy. I knew there was no time to consider his feelings and had to plead with him. Mr. Anderson, I really lost something very important. I have to find it. I'm sorry. I can't fulfill that request. The cold instruments moved across my abdomen, causing me to sweat profusely. Through the haze, I heard the doctor trying to persuade me. Mr. Anderson, you will hurt Mrs. Anderson this way. Mrs. Anderson? I silently recite this title in my heart, gradually forgetting that I am Mrs. Anderson, once cherished by Christopher. That wedding amazed the entire New York. After marriage, I received countless pieces of jewelry, and just one could support an ordinary person for a lifetime. I remember that time. I truly believed that Christopher and I were very loving, and I thought I was his favorite person. When Christopher's mother fell ill, I immediately decided to donate a kidney to her, and Christopher was so touched that he promised to repay me well. But later, Sophia appeared, and Christopher completely devoted himself to her, even leaving when I was trapped in a fire. I knelt outside Christopher's door begging him to come back, but in the end, I was dragged out because Sophia said I was too noisy. I went to ask Christopher's mother for help, but she started scolding me, which made me feel terrible. It felt like being kicked out, and my heart was very uncomfortable. When I first arrived at the club, the manager didn't dare to be too harsh with me because he feared Christopher was just temporarily angry. It wasn't until nobody cared about me that I let go of my worries and used all sorts of methods. I was so hungry that I even wanted to eat the wall plaster, and I had been beaten to the point of losing consciousness. I'm at the bottom of the hierarchy here. Even those girls dared to hit me. The manager never cares about me, just sneers at me in front of him. A person who shouldn't be in the spotlight has made himself out to be an important figure. Fortunately, if I can endure for 3 more days, I won't have to suffer like this anymore. Jacob told me that my health is very poor, and I have less than 3 days left. Just as I was thinking, Christopher impatiently asked me, "So, do you have a child?" It's clear that this person has never been through childbirth. The doctor's gaze is filled with pity. Christopher is too strong. The cavity is filled with blood, making it impossible to check if I have given birth. With a cold laugh, Christopher pulled out the instrument, causing me to collapse in pain, blood flowing down my thigh. He grabbed my neck. I asked him, "Where is the child? Where is my child?" My oxygen was cut off. I desperately tried to push Christopher's hand away, but it didn't budge at all. Just when I thought I was going to pass out, my neck suddenly loosened, and Christopher let go. He looked at the pool of blood below and felt a bit nauseous. Some had even splattered on his pants. He didn't come near me again, just said coldly, "You've gotten clever, daring to use a child to deceive me." I shook my head helplessly. "I really didn't deceive you. I must acknowledge the existence of this child. He was abandoned by his father before he was born, turned into a pool of blood, and can no longer be denied by his mother. Sophia is afraid of blood and is now being supported to sit on the sofa, not daring to look this way." She seemed to casually say something. Fortunately, Emily's parents left early. If they had seen Emily lying, it would have been very painful for them. This remark reminded Christopher, and he instructed the people below to bring the urn. For some reason, I felt an indescribable fear, staring wide-eyed at Christopher. "What do you want to do? Don't touch my parents." The staff moved quickly, and my parents' urn was soon in Christopher's hands. "I'll ask again, does this child really exist? Give him back to me." I struggled to grab the urn, but it was thrown to the ground by Christopher. "Are you going to speak or not?" In the moment of my hesitation, Christopher threw my mother's ashes on the ground, scattering them everywhere, mixing with my blood, and it felt especially disgusting. Ah! I felt a metallic taste in my throat, wanting to pick up my mother's ashes, but touched a hand full of blood instead. "Are there still no children this time?" Christopher threateningly held up my father's urn. I looked at Christopher with a heavy heart and said word for word, "No, Christopher, you have never been a father. He is not worthy of being a father, even in name only." Finally admitting it, Christopher sat on the sofa contentedly, casually tossing me a rag. "Clean up this mess, or I can't guarantee I won't slip up." He stroked my father's urn. I couldn't afford to delay, so I had to endure the pain to tidy up. That pile of ashes made me feel very upset. The daughter is unfilial, not only failing to take care of her mother but also putting her in such a predicament. I don't know how long it had been when the door suddenly opened, and Jacob came in holding the peace lock. Seeing the situation in the room, he immediately flew into a rage and, without having time to help me, punched Christopher in the face. Christopher grunted in pain and grabbed Jacob's hand, trying to stop him from hitting again. "To thank you for saving Emily, I won't hit you, but that doesn't mean I'll keep giving you chances. It's really unbearable." Jacob forcefully slapped Christopher's face with his right hand. "Always mentioning Emily. I thought you liked her a lot. If I had known you would treat her this way, I would never have let you take her away. Seeing Christopher at a disadvantage actually made me a little happy. Just as I was about to speak, I suddenly felt dizzy, and as soon as I opened my mouth, a metallic sweet taste came out. Did you know? The doctor said she might not live more than 3 days. I don't know how long I had slept before slowly waking up. In my dream, I felt Christopher by my bedside, urging me to wake up quickly. It felt like everything I had experienced was a dream, and Christopher and I were still that model couple. Until I saw Christopher's happy face as he held me tightly. Christopher struggled to speak. Emily, why did Jacob say you won't live past 3 days? He was gripping my shoulders so hard that it was almost unbearable. He's lying to me, right? This is something you two planned against me, isn't it? Christopher clearly hates me, so why does he look like he's about to cry now? I touched Christopher's face, filled with questions. Mr. Anderson, shouldn't you be happy that I'm dead? This can't be true. Don't try to deceive me. You can't really die. Christopher suddenly stood up, speaking firmly. Sophia softly said, Christopher, maybe this is just Emily trying to worry you on purpose. She's always been in good health. How could she suddenly make people think she's about to die? That's right, Emily. This is all your deception. But this time I won't hold it against you. Christopher somehow brought over a bowl of medicine and insisted on holding me in his arms. You've always wanted a child, haven't you? As long as you can give me a child, I won't care about you deceiving me with someone else. I learned that Christopher also wants a child. When we first got married, Christopher was worried about my suffering, so he never brought it up. Later, seeing that I was in good health, he casually mentioned in my ear that if I could give him a child, he would cherish the child as a treasure. If it's a boy, he would be the prince of all New York. If it's a girl, she would be spoiled to the point of envy from everyone. He even promised that I could focus on having kids while he would take care of everything else himself. But when the child actually came, he didn't want it anymore. Jacob scoffed. You still want her to have a child? I bet before she even gets pregnant, something might happen. Christopher said quietly, do you think if you deceive me, I would believe it? I have some issues with Emily, but that doesn't mean I will let you off the hook. Come on, Emily, take another sip. Jacob, unable to tolerate Christopher's pretentiousness, directly threw the medical records and diagnosis report in front of him. Christopher trembled as he took the document, the content completely shattering his last bit of hope. Splenic rupture and malnutrition, each word pierced his heart like a knife. By the end, Christopher's eyes suddenly widened. A miscarriage! Didn't you say you never had children? The doctor helplessly said, Mr. Anderson, I only said the lady has not had children. With the condition of the uterus, it's impossible to tell if she has ever been pregnant. So, you didn't mean to deceive. Christopher looked a bit dazed. I nodded and calmly told him no. The manager said the Anderson family would not accept an illegitimate child. How could he say that? Christopher crumpled the piece of paper and immediately went to find out what unhappy event Emily encountered at the club. He held my hand. Emily, I'll go call the doctor. You will be fine. Jacob leaned back on the sofa, casting a helpless look at Christopher, thinking he was really foolish. Only now does he remember to behave properly. Where was he before? If I hadn't been kind and brought something, she might not even have anyone to discover her. His words are really powerful. Just a few sentences made Christopher unhappy. Christopher held back his anger, just looking at me with emotion in his eyes. Emily, is it okay? Can I go clean the floor now? Their argument gives me a headache. I just want to clean the floor, or Christopher might make me leave. Christopher was a bit stunned. He didn't expect me to bring up cleaning the floor at this time. Taking this opportunity, I struggled to break free from Christopher's embrace and knelt down to start wiping the floor piece by piece. Jacob sneered beside me. It turns out Mr. Anderson is quite nice. This really opened my eyes. Christopher wouldn't let me use hot water. The floor was wet and cold, and I felt freezing all over after just a short while of cleaning. Christopher picked me up. Stop cleaning. These chores can be done by someone else. But if I don't clean, I'll be kicked out. I don't want to go to the club. I have to clean the floor. I struggled desperately in Christopher's arms, even biting his hand. He just let out a grunt, took a deep breath, and turned my face toward him. Emily, do you really want to do this? I don't want to clean anymore. Christopher is angry, and I want to stop, but I'm worried he might be lying. Christopher, I only have my dad left. I'm in a tough spot. No matter what Christopher says, I just keep shouting that I want to clean the floor. Seeing the bruises on my arm, Christopher was worried about me getting hurt and had to let go. Seeing me kneeling on the ground, Christopher felt very upset. He understood that he shouldn't blame me for not trusting him. He once said that if I could kneel in the sun for 3 hours, he would be willing to go home with me. As the time approached, he teased me to get up, but because I hadn't knelt long enough, he ended up living with Sophia. Thinking of this, he felt even more guilty. He gently picked me up. "Emily, I swear I will never let you suffer again." Just as he was about to pick me up, he suddenly heard a dull thud. "Mr. Anderson, Sophia has collapsed." Sophia is very sensitive to blood. I sometimes bleed after my miscarriage. This time, it might have been due to some stimulation, and the amount of bleeding was particularly heavy, which she happened to see, causing her to faint directly. Without thinking much, Christopher put me down, picked up Sophia, and placed her on the bed. "Hurry and call a doctor." After saying that, he looked at me somewhat awkwardly and then gave orders to the servants. "Take Emily to another room. Sophia really can't stand the sight of blood." I know I'm not important to Sophia. I want to pretend I don't care, but it still hurts inside, as if my heart has been cut open. Fortunately, I wasn't deceived by Christopher and I'm still mopping the floor. I'm moving even harder. Someone tried to drag me away, but Jacob stopped them. He said, "She's covered in blood. Where do you plan to take her? Sophia just doesn't like to see blood. Let her go somewhere else first." Christopher seemed a bit guilty, clearly realizing it wasn't the right time to act. He said to Emily, "I'll make it up to you." At that moment, Sophia woke up, and Christopher's attention was drawn to her as he gently wiped the cold sweat from her forehead. "Sophia, is there anywhere else that feels uncomfortable?" Seeing me being wronged here, Jacob couldn't bear it and wrapped me in a blanket, carrying me away. "Thank you." I whispered my thanks and then suggested Jacob take me to the storage room. "Do you live here?" He looked at the dusty storage items with confusion. I shook my head. "They didn't arrange a room for me. This was the one I stayed in before." "Then why don't you live in the master bedroom?" "Because I gave it to Sophia." I felt very uncomfortable, while Jacob muttered something under his breath, indicating he was going to confront Christopher, and then he prepared to leave. I held him back and thanked him for his help, but honestly, it wasn't really necessary. I've gotten used to it. Christopher likes Sophia. I'm not her rival, I know that. No matter what Jacob says, Christopher won't change his mind. Jacob sighed, returned the peace lock to me, and then turned to leave. "I just wanted to give you something, but I didn't expect to encounter such a problem." "Forget it, it's my fault for overthinking." I sincerely thanked him, and he waved goodbye before leaving. I felt extremely tired. I could fall asleep even on the cold floor. I don't know how long it had been, but the door creaked, and I felt someone pinching my face, their cool nails grazing my skin. She looked very charming. No wonder Christopher has become like this, truly captivated by you. However, I don't know if you encounter bad things, will Christopher still remember you? I wanted to run away, but I couldn't move at all. This body is really reaching its limit. I struggled to open my eyes and saw the flames getting closer. Christopher took care of Sophia all night, and just as he fell asleep, he was awakened by the sound of the servants. He came out unhappily and sternly said, "What are you all doing?" "Mr. Anderson, there's a fire in the storage room." "No, ma'am, Emily is still inside." After the servant spoke, he saw Christopher suddenly affected and rush into the flames. "Emily!" Christopher wet his clothes and wanted to run in. Only now did he realize that he actually liked Emily. It was just because Sophia came back that he temporarily suppressed his feelings. He could make many compensations for Emily, but Emily absolutely must not be in danger. She cannot die. Sophia tightly embraced Christopher. "Christopher, I'm scared. Can you come back with me?" Christopher's eyes were red. "Get out of the way. I have to save Emily. There are plenty of servants here. Someone can help her, right? Let's go back first. You were with me before, and Emily was fine, right?" Christopher stopped his actions. Indeed, how did he react when Emily perished in the fire last time? He stayed with Sophia and didn't care about Emily, who came looking for him, even saying it was just a fire. Could anyone really die in it? It's hard to blame Emily for hating him. He slapped himself twice, broke free from Sophia's arm, and rushed inside. Sophia was pushed to the ground, her arm scraped and bleeding. She covered her bleeding arm and cried out to Christopher, "Christopher, even though I'm in the fire, I'm hurt too. Aren't you supposed to be with me?" Christopher looked at Sophia's arm and suddenly asked, "Aren't you afraid of blood? Why aren't you scared this time?" Sophia stammered and couldn't speak. "Were you pretending before?" Christopher held Sophia's hand tightly, and her eyes showed some unease. While they were confronting each other, someone said Emily was rescued, and Christopher immediately let go of Sophia and ran in front of me. He carefully wiped the wound on my face with a towel, as if I were a fragile porcelain piece. He also asked me how I ended up in the storage room and said that next time I wanted to come, I could call him, and he would accompany me. This really scared me, you know? I looked at him in confusion, my eyes filled with bewilderment. Didn't I used to live there? I have nowhere to go, so I can only return there for now. Christopher wanted to see anger in my eyes, but there was none. All he saw was calmness and confusion. Christopher's expression was bitter, and it was rare for him to admit his mistake. "Yes, this matter is indeed my fault. Emily, let's not mention the past. Let's talk about something happy instead." Just as he finished speaking, I saw a group of people carrying a tightly bound man, and that man's face was the manager from the club. "Emily, I know you feel wronged. I will be strong for you." Christopher gently stroked my earlobe while taking the towel and stuffing it into my mouth. "Ma'am, I know I was wrong. Please, spare me." Christopher handed me a knife, and I waved it in front of the manager. "Should we cut off his hand first, or gouge out his eyes? Emily, what do you think about cutting off his tongue first? He actually spoke to you with such disrespect." The anger inside me makes me want to do something extreme to the manager, but isn't Christopher the one who would make him do that? What right does he have to make me hurt the manager? Seeing that I didn't move, Christopher thought I was scared, so he kissed me and said, "Emily, don't be afraid, I'm here." I asked him, "Christopher, didn't you tell him to hit me? Why are we dealing with him again now?" The manager seemed to have found a source of hope and kept nodding. "Yes, Mr. Anderson, I'm just doing what you instructed. Please spare my life. How can you put all the blame on me?" Christopher kicked the manager down. "I only asked you to teach her some rules, not to drag her into the snow to humiliate her, nor to harm her child with a stick." Christopher couldn't continue speaking. At that moment, he finally understood why I begged him not to leave that day. But it was all too late, really too late. The manager also feels wronged. Perhaps because he feels his time is short, he spoke to Christopher without any politeness. "Mr. Anderson, how can you speak like that? You clearly said that the child in her womb is a bastard and told Sophia to find a way to get rid of it. You really are ruthless. This isn't something simple to do." The manager laughed heartily. "You might not know this, but we've already had contact with her. I never expected to be with your woman today. There's even video here. Do you want to take a look?" Christopher had enough and stabbed the manager's heart with the knife. The manager still had a smile on his face. He deliberately provoked Christopher, perhaps just wanting to end it all. Blood splattered on Sophia's face, and she screamed. Christopher grabbed Sophia's hair and slashed her face with the knife. "Was this all arranged by you? Christopher, how could this happen? Am I really that kind of person in your heart?" As soon as he finished speaking, a servant came in with the surveillance footage. "Mr. Anderson, we've checked the surveillance. The person who set the fire in the bathroom is Sophia. The truth is about to be revealed, and Sophia has stopped pretending." "Christopher, I did everything, so what? Don't be so quick to hate me. If it weren't for your support, I wouldn't have been able to send Emily in so easily. You're such a fool." To be honest, I called off the engagement because I didn't like you. My family went bankrupt, and that's how I found you. To me, you're like an ATM. Emily's current situation is entirely your responsibility. Cut out her tongue and throw it into the snake's den. Christopher gave instructions to his subordinates, and as Sophia left, she was loudly shouting that Christopher deserved it. Christopher held me tightly, so tightly that it hurt my body. His tears fell drop by drop onto me, causing me emotional pain. "Emily, I'm really sorry. Can we let go of the past and have a child, living a happy life together? I'm willing to spend a lifetime making it up to you." I don't understand why Christopher wants me to forget the past. Is it just a light-hearted remark that can make all my pain disappear? Can my child really come back to me? I don't want Christopher's whole life. After all, I've only been with him for 7 years, and now it feels like I'm reaching my limit. It truly scares me. I mechanically nodded, watching Christopher happily bring the medicine to my lips. Even though Christopher hired a famous doctor, I still passed away the next day. Christopher was extremely angry and even wanted to rush into the club to take revenge on those who had bullied me. However, before he could act, the police arrived first. His video of premeditated murder was discovered, and Sophia and the manager's bodies were still at the Anderson house, so sentencing was a foregone conclusion. What awaits him is decades of imprisonment. Jacob watched me take a selfie in front of the tombstone. You're the first to take a picture with your own grave. I satisfiedly put my phone away. Isn't this a farewell to my past self? Jacob and I discussed in the hospital and came up with a plan to pretend to be dead to escape Christopher's control. I deliberately acted insane in front of Christopher to provoke him into killing the manager and Sophia. Jacob had already placed a miniature camera in my safety lock, and I also gave the police evidence of his murders. A gentle breeze brushes past me. The sun is warm and bright. I gaze into the distance. This time, spring has truly arrived.